All right, so I'm just going to apologize up front, okay? And if this really upsets you, I want you to talk to Reverend Mark. A woman comes home late one night, and she quietly opens the bedroom door, and from under the blankets, she sees 4 legs where there should be 2. And so she reaches for her handy baseball bat, and she just hits the blankets again and again and again and again. And once she's done, she goes into the kitchen to pour herself a drink. And her husband's there, reading a magazine, and he says to her, "Hi, honey, your parents got here early, so I gave them our bed. Have you said hello?" Okay, so you talk to Reverend Mark about that. I don't write these things. You know, so we've got to pray for the people who are writing these jokes. You know, when I take people traveling, we have 2 rules. And the rules are don't compare and don't complain. It's very much like the jokes. Don't compare and don't complain. And now I tell people, like, if you have a legitimate complaint, then you talk to somebody who can do something about it. You don't tell everybody who can't do something about it. And so here, what that translates to is, bring me a good joke, okay? You're the one to do something about it, you know? So bring me a good joke. I'd heard Neil Donald Walsh talk, you know, he's the Conversations with God guy, and he was talking about that 98% of the people spend 98% of their time on things that don't matter. That really upset me. It really upset me. But then once I got past the upset, it got me really, really thinking about how much time do I actually spend on things that don't matter. It doesn't necessarily mean doing. It could be just sitting there in my chair spinning about things in my head that do not matter. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if they say this? What if I say that? What if this? What if that? What if that's the mailman? What if it's the UPS? What if it's FedEx? What if it, you know, it just goes on and on and on. And so his suggestion is that what we do is that we have to pay attention to the agenda of our soul. That our soul came here for a purpose. That we didn't come here to waste this precious, precious time. And people will often say to me how quickly the years fly by. And so I think, okay, then we don't have time to waste. We have to really look and say, what is the agenda of my soul? And am I attending to that? And so for each of us, the piece that I feel fairly confident of is the agenda of our soul is to express the divinity that's within us. The godness, the goodness, the love, the spirit, to bring forward all of those qualities and attributes of God that are within us, to bring those forward into expression in our life. Emerson said that most people lead lives of quiet desperation, which I think is also a horrible thing. You know, only because I think there's so much validity in that. That we all know people who are kind of living a life of quiet desperation. They're very unfulfilled. They seem very unhappy all the time. It just goes from one episode of tumult to another episode of tumult. They can never really enjoy themselves where they are, with who they're with. And that seems like desperation to me. In fact, unfortunately, though, I think Emerson was being polite. I don't find that people who are in desperation to usually be very quiet about it. Do you? I mean, I think they're more than willing to share. Maybe Emerson was writing at a politer time. I'm not sure. So it seems to me that this is not about what we have perhaps thought it was about. And so I think, well, how do I find out what it's about? How do I find out what it's about for me? Because it's different for all of us. And so, you know, in a lot of traditions, now I'm not a big fan of this. I'm working my way slowly into this. I get up one morning a week at 4 a.m. so I can have time to be quiet. I mean really, really quiet. There is not a leaf blower in sight. You know, it's really wonderfully, wonderfully quiet. And I take that time to say, God, reveal to me, you know, why I'm here. Now I think I'm on track. I think I'm on purpose. I really do. But if there's more that I need to know, I have to make myself available to it. You know, if there's something I'm supposed to be doing that I'm not doing, then I want to be appraised of that and sign up for that course too. You know, because I don't want the semester to end and find out I don't have all the requirements to graduate. You know what I mean? Okay. So, you know, what Ernest Holmes teaches us is that in the science of mind, that very center of our being, since God is everywhere equally present, that means that the very center of our being is the center of the universe itself. The very center of us is the center of the entire universe because there's no time or space or distance in God. You know? And so we have to align with that. And I believe that when we're aligned with that, we're not caught up in being concerned about lack or concerned about our needs not being met or concerned way about the future. We're aligned with the very center of the universe, the center of life itself. And so I think that's important because this is really about aligning with the very nature of our own being, which is God, which is spirit, which is love. You know, in the Bible it says, even while they are praying, I have answered. Even while they are praying, I have answered. And so what I start to think about is that we spend an enormous amount of time thinking and praying about getting healthy, getting into a relationship, getting out of a relationship, getting some more money, getting a better house. People spend a lot of time. And now that's all fine. That's all fine. But I think it has to also absolutely be balanced with what am I here to give? What am I here to give? And seeing ourselves in every situation as I am somebody who has something to give, something of value to give into every situation. Because it's no coincidence, it's no accident that we wind up in the situations that we're in, or that we see people or witness things that we witness. It's because we have something of value to contribute to that. See, and so I think it's a mistake to sort of say, oh God, why do you bring these things into my awareness? You know they upset me so much. And I feel like God says, because you're supposed to bring something of value to these situations, not change the channel. You know, not look the other way, not pretend you're not driving your own car. You know, that it's come into your awareness. Things come into our awareness because the very least is we're supposed to lend our consciousness to those situations. We're supposed to put out an energy of love and light and blessing and goodwill and know that peace is possible and that healing is taking place. That's why it's come to our attention. And sometimes, yes, sometimes it even means that, you know, we put our boots on and we get involved. And I know that not everybody can be involved in everything, but sometimes there are things that really, really, really pull at our attention. There was a young kid years ago who came to church here, and he was just a teenager, and he was in a TV show. And all of a sudden, he knew that he was in a position to make a difference. And so he came to talk to me because he had a tremendous social conscience. And he was concerned about everything. He was concerned about everything. And now he was making money, and people would listen to him. And he was overwhelmed because he was concerned about the environment, and he was concerned about the whales, and he was concerned about disease, and he was concerned about domestic violence, and he was concerned about children not having food, and he was concerned about everything. I mean, for a young kid, he really had enormous concerns. And he had made a list. Or I asked him to make a list. He made a list. And I said, okay, come back and see. He's going to come back and see me a week later. And I said, I want you to circle the top 2 things that right now speak to you the most. It doesn't mean the other things are not important, but what are the 2 things that right now speak to you the most, and know that this could change 6 months or a year from now? And so he came back and he had 2 things that were really, really important to him. And I said, okay, so that's where you need to put your attention, because you can't do everything. You can't finish high school and be on a TV show and solve every situation in the world. It would be great if we could, but you can't. So pick the ones, because I believe that that's how God prompts us, that there's something that will not let go of us. Do you know what I mean? That something disturbs us to a degree that we think about it. It's just the thing that always, oh, God, I hate that so much. It upsets me so much. Then that's probably the thing that we should be giving some of our attention to. You know, that we're not here to just get something, but really, the higher spiritual truth is that we brought it with us. The thing that we think we're here to get, we brought with us. You know, that I've already got it is the spiritual truth. Because God, we teach in the Science of Mind that God is already doing everything that God is going to do. And so if we are made in the image and likeness of God, this means the qualities and attributes of God exist within us, then I've already got it. Whatever it is, I think I lack. So here, we'll just try this on for a second. Say that with me. I've already got it. Again, I've already got it. So when we pray, what we need to know is, I've already got it. It's not like God is withholding it, and we haven't suffered or struggled enough. And then God, when we have, then God will give it to us. It's like God's already made the gift. Ernest Holmes is very clear on this in The Science of Mind. Again and again and again, he says the gift has already been given. The gift is, and I know we say, well, if the gift has been given, where the heck is it? I need it now. And God says, well, you've got it. You've got it. Well, where is it? It's within us, waiting to be brought forward. You know, if we think it's something that we can lose, then it's not really real. You know, because what the qualities, the attributes of God are eternal. They're immortal. They're part of God, and God can never, ever be lost. So, you know, St. Paul said, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so I think about that, and I think that is daily. That's on a daily basis. You don't go and renew your mind once, you know, at a workshop or for a weekend on a retreat or something like that. That we have to renew. I think that's the key part, the renewing of our mind, not the re-olding of our mind or the rehashing of our mind, that we have to think something new. We have to think something of a higher order. We have to think something that's in alignment with a greater truth about, you know, what is the agenda of my soul? What did I really come here to do? What did I really come here to express? And it's not something that we can lose. So you say, you know, well, all right, well, I always go back to, it's really funny how you get imprinted so early. So one of the things I remember from a kid when I was a Bible was in the beginning, you know, and the story of creation, that in the beginning was, that, well, there was nothing, right? There was just a void. There was just the dark, you know? And so now I look at that through the lens of Science of Mind and I say, okay, what that is that's the infinite potential. That void is the infinite possibility. And God says, let there be light. All right? And so we could say, all right, there is unformed potential. There's infinite possibility, the unformed substance of God waiting to be called forth into expression. And how we do that is we say, you know, let there be healing. Let there be abundance. Let there be peace of mind. Let there be love in this relationship. Let there be forgiveness in this relationship. Let there be, because we're working with the infinite potential. The void is filled with infinite potential, the unformed substance of God that Ernest Holmes teaches us that we are in a co-creative relationship with, and so we get to call that forth into expression. We get to be the ones to say, let there be. All right, so I think, okay, before I pick up the phone, I think, oh, let there be love. Let there be love in this phone call. You know, let there be peace. Let there be forgiveness here. You know, that Emma Curtis Hopkins said, and I think this is probably one of her highest teachings, that is very simple, and she says, let it be. She says, that's an extraordinarily high teaching, because humanly, especially as metaphysicians, we want to get in there, don't we? We want to get in there and mess with it and tinker with it and manipulate it and move it around. And Emma says the high teaching is let it be. And we think, how can I let it be? How can I let it be? Because it's already done in the mind of God. That the gift has already been given, that nothing is withheld. There is already love, there is already wholeness, there is already abundance. It's already done. You know, but let it be lets it take shape. Let it be, lets it take shape. And so when people say to me all the time, they say, well, I've been praying, and it doesn't seem like God answers my prayer. And so with regards to this idea about transforming our lives, here's a little transformation, I think. The answer to your prayer is you. The answer to my prayer is me. It's not something outside of us, that you becoming more you remembering that God is fully, absolutely, and completely present in me. And when I align with that, when I tune into that, nothing is withheld. That absolutely everything I need has already been given. So when we think God has not answered my prayer, really what's so is God is saying, yes, I have. And you are that answered prayer. Let's pray. So we turn our attention inward now for a moment to recognize that we are in fact surrounded and filled with God's Spirit, God's love, God's energy, God's wholeness, that the very presence of the living Spirit is here right now, fully orbed in and through and as each and every one of us. And so I claim for us today that we're spending time on what matters. I speak the word, and I know for each and every one that we are paying attention to the bigger purpose, to the agenda of our soul, what we came here to give into life. I know that each and every one of us has tremendous freedom now to express the divinity that we are. That whatever we've told ourselves, whatever we've used to hold ourselves back, we recognize that doesn't serve us anymore, and we simply let it go so that God can be revealed in our life in a greater way. I claim for each and every one of us that we are absolutely aligned with the principle, power, and presence of the one life, the one love. And I know for each and every one of us that good and only good comes from it. So I know that we've already got it, whatever it is. And I also know that it's good. It's very good. So we include in our prayer our family members, our friends, our loved ones, everybody who's on our mind today. We see them in our mind's eye, and we wrap our spiritual arms around them, and we bless them and hold them close and surround them with love and lift them up and know only good for them. We let our prayer be a blessing in the world. So all that stuff that continues to pull at our attention, we say God is right there, and we say let there be peace, let there be love, let there be abundance, let there be forgiveness. We bless our church. We bless all churches everywhere, synagogues and temples and mosques and ashrams, all paths to God. And I'm certain that we're all blessed by being together today, that we all get raised up, that our faith is increased. And so with an open, gracious, full heart, I give thanks and release this word, and so it is. Together we all say, Amen.